Welcome back everyone to another F122 video, but today it's going to be a little different kind of video, and I think it's one that you guys have all been anticipating. It is in fact a video explaining how to be faster on a controller. If you guys don't know, I am a controller player. I play on PC, connecting a Xbox One controller to the PC and driving that way. And a lot of you guys have been asking me about camera settings and how to be faster in the game. So I thought I'd just make another video on F122 because I made one on F1 2021, which you can find in the description or in the comment section, and also on my channel. It's been a kind of step-by-step kind of video explaining what kind of camera settings I have, assist, etc., and then how to be faster. So let's redo that today. I'm trying to take a look and see where would be a good place to start. I guess we can just start on time trial to discuss how things look. Let's go to Bahrain. Alright, so welcome to Bahrain. We're here in the Bahrain Grand Prix circuit in the Red Bull. So first off, I wanted to show you guys the settings. So I drive with no assist except for the corner racing lines, mainly because it's very difficult to get rid of them and then transition to a fully empty racetrack, and I drive on my own. I'm trying to get there. I'm really struggling to finding the right braking points and stuff, so I'm still trying to find landmarks, points where I can start braking and etc. But otherwise everything is off. Gearbox is on manual, no assist on that either. So you guys can see here everything is off. Now with the camera settings, I think camera customization was one thing you guys were asking, and it is this following setup here. Field of view is 8, offset lateral, horizontal and vertical are 0, 5 and 15 each. Angle is on -20. Near clip plane we've left at 0. Mirror angle is -5, with camera shake being 0 and movement 0. Why is that? Well, I'll go one by one straight down here. So field of view is 8, mainly because it gives us a much bigger view of the track, but also not getting too much of the auxiliary stuff, you know, like too much of the side that don't really matter, or too much of, you know, the stands, which we don't need. So 8 seems to be like the baseline, or like a good balance between too focused and too like wide of a field of view. The offset lateral, it just shows like how far away we are from the main camera, like T pose or the T stand of the camera. 0 because we want to stay on the center of the car and try to stay within, like try to keep the car at the center as much as possible. Horizontal is like how far forward and back you go, as you can kind of see in the back. We left it at 5 mainly because this is the best, it's the midpoint of where I want to see stuff, and mainly because it's the vertical that matters the most. We want to be as high as possible so that we can see as much of the front part of the car as possible that meets the track. So a lot of people, a lot of F1 drivers actually struggle because the car is so low that they can't see far into the front of the car, so they can't really see the front wing to some degree at all, I think. So we as F122 enjoyers have the ability to see the front of the car, or as much of the front part of the car as possible. So 15 seems to be like the best kind of position to see the most, but also not compromising our track view and our racing line view. Angle is at -20 mainly because of this reason. We want to see as much as possible into the front of the car. Near clip plane, I don't think I touched because I really don't see a point in it. Mirror angle is of course the side mirrors, -5, so that we can see the most out of the right and left hand side of the car. And the camera shake and movement are at 0 because the movement and shake is one of the elements that bother you from getting the right braking point. So if you have shaking and moving, you kind of miss your braking point and you can't be fast enough. So reducing those to 0, absolutely getting rid of that variable from this experience, you're able to find a much faster time and a much smoother racing line. So it will be probably a couple tenths of a second faster. That's what I've realized when I play this game. And to be honest, I gotta source the source, right? So this was Jarno Opmeer's camera settings for when he does esports, and it really does help you get faster. I think I shredded about 4 seconds of my lap time just by doing this. So yeah, I was a very slow driver in F1 2021, but I really started to gain time as this camera setting changed. Some of you guys have been asking about how do I get, voice activated commands. So for example, I can put the right trigger, and then I can speak to Mark, our race engineer, directly. I don't know. I think it's a default setting here that the noise just plays on its own. So yeah, you guys just need to plug in a microphone or headphones with a microphone setting, and you'll get that option immediately. Another thing people have been asking me is, what kind of configuration do I use for my controller? Well, it's literally the default. I haven't changed anything. Gear up, clutch, gear down, that's all on the buttons here, A and X. Handbrake is Y, which doesn't really matter in an F1 car since it doesn't have that. Y is DRS, in fact, for the F1 car with the pit limiter. B is the MFD. You can open it. Right stick is just camera views. Left stick is steering. Right trigger accelerate. Left trigger is braking, with the L1 and R1 being the DRS. So L1 DRS, I think, and then the R1 is the MFD, or talking to Mark. So calibration wise, I haven't touched that either. Everything's on 0. Yeah, everything's on 0. So if you test the button, this is especially important because my controller's a little dead. So you can see the steering kind of stick sometimes beyond 0. But I guess my controller is still okay to some degree. If your controller is kind of sticking, like it's stuck at -3 or -2 or 1 or something, then adjust it with the linearity and stuff. So you guys can always check that with the test button part of the configuration here. All right, so let me take you through a hot lap of Bahrain, how I can drive so well. You want to be as cautious as possible when you put down the gas or put down the accelerator, mainly because you're gonna spin. Look, if I go 100%, you're gonna spin immediately, mainly because the new mechanics with F1 22 is that the power delivery is going to be very sensitive to the real life car. That is one thing that I noticed. And I also noticed that the cars are a little icy or like lighter to some degree. Like they slip a lot on curbs, and I guess that's more realistic, mainly considering how much power there is out of the engine. So you want to be as cautious as possible when you accelerate out of corners, especially with this turn here, because this is a trail braking part where you just lightly tap on the brakes and try to control the car around that corner. Now, the way I turn, I still, I can't find a way to put a camera above my head. I know a lot of pack openers, like Pokemon card openers have like this giant rig that points down on the table or shows their hands. I just don't have the facilities for it. But when you consider driving, when you make a left-hand turn, I don't know, some of you guys may be too young to be driving right now, or maybe some of you guys are getting your driver's license for the first time of your life. You don't yank the steering wheel. Maybe if you're young, just watch your parents drive. I don't think they ever yank the steering wheel 100% to the left to turn, right? You kind of ease it. When you're at a stop sign and then you're trying to make a left turn at an intersection, you kind of steer left by going maybe 10%, 20%, 30%, and then eventual reaching that limit of maybe 80% steer to make that turn into the lane, and then reversing back or releasing the steering wheel, right? There's no certain sudden jerk movement when you turn, as if you're heating the tires in an F1 car. So you kind of ease it in. That's the exact same concept we're going to work with here with the controller. You're going to ease it. If you guys can see, you're going to ease it to the left, not 100%. So one thing that I did when I was very bad at the game and was a beginner, I used to do this. A lot of just 100% jerks, movements, and adjusting like this. I think that's one of the things that I was doing wrong. So instead, I started doing this, slowly easing the steering wheel left and right. So you're not going to go 100% immediately. You're going to start moving that left joystick a little bit, and eventually hitting the 100% at the apex. So as soon as you hit that apex, you're 100%, and then you're accelerating slowly. So again, trigger as well. You're not going to go full 100%. You're not going to press down on it. You're going to ease it. So like a little press, 10%, 20%, 40%, and eventually exponentially growing to 100% as you exit the turn. So apex, full left-hand turn or full right-hand turn at the apex, and then slow easing out of the apex, and then slowly going 100%. Same with braking, immediately at the braking zone, 100%, and then slowly ease off. Don't let go of it, slowly ease off. So it's from 0 to 100, and then trail it down. So 100, 90, 80, 60, 40, eventually to 0, which will, like, you will let go of the brake as soon as you hit the apex, and then you start pressing the accelerator. Now, there's no other way I can really tell how to improve on that other than go practice. I have about 1,000 hours on this game over the course of the last 2-3 years. I started playing this game around F1 2020. F1 2020 was the first game I ever purchased in the F1 series, and I started making videos on it in 2020, I think. December was when I got it because it was on sale, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it. And yeah, ever since I've been practicing. If you guys go watch my first ever F1 video, you'll see how much I struggled around Australia. It was unbelievable. I'm kind of shocked how bad I was there. Alright, so take a look at the bottom MFD. Just under the KPH, you'll see the telemetry of where I'm pressing the accelerator and when I am braking. It's a good reference here. One bad habit that I have is, as you just noticed there, I upshift at the exit of the turn to minimize wheel spin, but it's usually not a good thing to do. You want to go up that gear. You want to go through that gear and then upshift, but sometimes I prematurely upshift because I spin out otherwise. And I think that cost me a couple tenths in a lap. Acceleration, 100%, tapering down to 0, and then accelerating out of the turn, going up to 100. And trying to hit every gear by 100%. So every gear I want to hit as close to the purple as much as possible. Hope that explains a little bit. I don't know how else to explain. Yeah, all I can say is a lot of practice. Really a lot of practice. Let me see if I can beat my previous time here. Come on. So it's all the same concepts. Tapering, slow easing of the steering wheel. Look at that, I just gained about a couple hundredths there from going up first gear and not upshifting immediately. There we go. So yeah, again, try to hit the most right hand side of that turn and then push in and then accelerate the best you can. And then one thing that's going to matter a lot as well is the setup. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking how I make my setups. To be honest, I rely on a lot of the workshop elements of Steam. Actually, I just go and look at some of the esports drivers and see what kind of setups they have. As you can see, 129.0, which is not fast. Not fast at all for a driver in F1 22. I'm only 9,704th on the leaderboard. Of course, Bahrain is the most played circuit, I think, among players. Still a lot of learning to do, but if you guys go back to Garage, what I usually do is I take a look at these esports drivers. Thomas Ronhar, for example, 126.5. He's already 2.5 seconds faster than I am, and I look at his setup and see what works. Usually, I think my driving style fits Thomas Ronhar. I find the most time with his setups, and usually I adjust the power delivery and the tire pressures a little to match a controller player, because you have more control of the tire temps on steering wheel, because you can be more easy on the tires. But controller, it's a lot harder. And Daniel Haddad, I think, is also an esports driver, and Yarn Altmir, of course, is up here. Yeah, I would just go through these people's setups. Just before we finish this video, I wanted to quickly tell you guys about starting procedure. This is one of the biggest elements that changed between F1 2021 and F1 22. And that's mainly because the start procedure is a lot more slippery, but also more precise to the actual event. So let's try and start a race here with Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. So what you want to do with the start procedure is you want to tap this accelerator. So remember how I told you guys to ease in 100% with the trigger? What I usually do is this small little touch. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's literally the kink of my finger here. It rests on the accelerator, and that'll give you a tiny bit of acceleration that'll enable you to start the start procedure. So your accelerator will go, and then the car will start revving up, holding down the A button, of course. Oh God, sorry. Holding down the A button and simultaneously using the kink of your finger to lightly tap on the accelerator. And as soon as the 5 lights go out, release the A, so release the A button and let go of the accelerator by a tiny bit. That's why I use the kink of my finger, because it's a lot easier to control. So as soon as the kink is working, release it by about a little, little bit, like a little, as if you're gonna point at something, like point at something, and then you have to use your ears here. As soon as the rev drops a bit, so it's stuck at a certain noise, like a tone, and then as soon as it dips, you'll feel also with the controller that the car grips to the surface. So with the dip of the noise, the car will start gripping, and then you start pressing, tapering up to full percent. Let me show you guys how that's done. So we're gonna start again holding down A, using the kink of my finger. You can see in the telemetry that I'm not hitting too much, and as soon as those lights drop, I drop a bit and accelerate. I was explaining there, so it wasn't the greatest of starts, but let me show you guys like exactly how I do it here. So here we are then, using the kink. You can see in the telemetry there's a little bit of a pressure going on the accelerator, and lights out. And there we go. Immediately go up to 100. Use a bit of ERS to stay ahead. Of course, we didn't do the formation lap for this one. Oh my God. Why am I racing? Anyway, yeah, that's how I do it. A little use of the kink and then let go. You hear the rev drop, and as soon as the rev drops a certain level and starts gripping, you accelerate again and bring that rev back up to upshift and then start driving. That's the best way I can explain that. Hope you guys feel better now with all these instructions that I provided you. If you guys have any of the further questions regarding some of the controller aspects of F1 22, please be sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to address your questions or comments. And yeah, that is all I can say for now. If there are further questions, make sure you leave them in my F1 22 videos or below in the comment section, as I just mentioned. I'll try to address them. If there are certain points that I feel like I missed in this video, I will make another video on it to explain other details of how to get faster. But yeah, that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe using the right button down below, hit the notification bell as well so you're notified as soon as the next video goes live. Thank you guys so much for your support. Take care, and I'll see you in the next F1 22 video.